Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Caught Stealing. This film is set in 1998. In 1998, I saw Darren Aronofsky's Pi, his first film, in theaters. Darren Aronofsky, for me, has been a filmmaker who I've gotten to watch go from like a small black and white, gritty New York movie to being this big major director and being nominated for Oscars and making these huge hits and all this stuff. But seeing where he is now, I think shows me both, how far he has come and how much of him we've sort of lost along the way. Now, he is definitely trying to capture a one day or one night, is usually supposed to be one night, New York movie thing, which is like commendable to try to do that, I guess. But I think one thing he's really missing, and at first I thought it was film grain, but I think it's something more, is just his real cinematography eye that he used to have. He does have a DP he's worked for before, is Matthew Libotique. I think that's how you say his name. He's very good, but it just doesn't have the same kind of gritty style that it usually does. However, at the same time, this feels like a fun romp of a crime film that I'm surprised he would make, and I'm surprised how much fun I had with it, even if, as someone who really likes gritty New York movies, maybe this doesn't live up to that or even try to really be that, but it was still, I think watching Aronofsky just sort of have fun and show that I can direct sort of something like this and do it well, and it doesn't have to be stylized and weird and stuff. And there was something odd about that. It felt like he'd suddenly become more of a studio director than the interesting auteur, but almost that he liked it. And I'm not sure if I liked where we were, but I did have fun. Austin Butler plays a character named Hank, who is moved to New York after he was going to be a baseball player, and after an accident didn't work out. He's been a bartender for a long time. And after one of his neighbors in his New York apartment building is leaving town, leaves him with his cat, and then various people who know the cat while he's trying to get cat food come over, beat him up so terribly it destroys one of his kidneys, and then he can't drink as much. That sounds like it sucks. And then he kind of goes on a crazy adventure where lots of gangsters are after him, trying to find out what happened to his neighbor, who's played by Matt Smith, trying to get the money that he has from all these various gangsters while they're trying to go after Austin Butler's Hank, who's sort of just stuck in the middle of this crazy cash money drug war that he doesn't really know how he can get out of, but he's stuck with it. Darren Aronofsky as a director, it used to be kind of cool because I did see Pi sort of because I thought the trailer was cool at the time, and I was really excited, and it's been fun to watch him become a major director. To me, when I first saw it, it was just this like kind of weird art movie I saw on like whatever. This one I don't feel that as much, and I think at first when I watched it, I thought, you can't do a gritty crime movie anymore because there's no film grain now, and everything's 4K, and everything's clear, and you're thinking of Taking Pelham 1, 2, 3, or The Warriors, or Alphabet City, or After Hours, or stuff like that. You're thinking of grain and grit and like this dirtiness to it, and you can't do that anymore. You can't make that movie anymore. And then I went, wait a minute. You can make that movie. First off, Black Swan, which Aronofsky made, but also like the Safdies, I've seen at least 3 of their movies do that. And I was like, wait a second, you can totally do that. Why didn't he do that? And it sort of bugged me because it's like, I think he should have known better that like these films, usually have a more gritty, immediate style. I'm not exactly sure why he shot things like he did. There's like the drone shot that everyone seems to like where Austin Butler's Hank is going down the fire escape. That's like one of the better drone shots I can think of in modern cinema. I'm not a big drone shot guy, but like there's certain elements to it. But you can tell like it doesn't feel like I'm in 98 New York. It feels like I'm in a movie recreation of 98 New York. Certain alleyways weren't as dirty as they used to be. There's all sorts of stuff that used to be grimier and dirtier at the time, which he just like omits for I don't know why. And it does feel like he's trying to recapture something, but he isn't really. I don't know. Some of it's like, it's cool seeing the Kim's Video sign, which I actually saw this at the Alamo Drafthouse, so has a Kim's Video sign, so that was nice. And the bars and stuff remind me of, like, I wasn't in New York in '98. I moved to New York in 2002. But a lot of that was still there, and it did remind me of the time in that era and when you can like smoke in bars and how it was a very different scene back then and all that. But it did feel like someone sort of almost like it felt like as fake as the New York of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. But the energy of this film was there. The energy of those films was there. And it seemed like he really loved making this kind of movie. And you can get that energy from it. But it almost felt like the visual style of Darren Aronofsky took an extreme backseat in this movie. And I don't think that was the best move for this. I think this could have been a lot better had it been shot a lot better and shot in a more grittier style on the fly style. This felt like everything was pre-planned and methodology wise and stuff. Now, I'm not saying, the thing is though, I understand a lot of those gritty movies do pre-plan things and it's all very planned, but the difference is that has an authenticity to it. And I often felt like this film didn't really have an authenticity to it. It felt like someone reimagining the past and making it all clean when it was a lot dirtier. I do like how he was able to keep up this energy. This feels like an older director, whether older director sort of taking on a pretty standard genre thing and just like sort of nailing it. You can think of Spike Lee with Black Klansman's a good example. You can think of Fritz Lang's later work. I think like if he made like 3 or 4 movies a year, this would probably be like one of those, but not like the big, statement or the big movie of those that like excels from them. This just felt like sort of another one. I did have fun. This is my kind of shit. I just would, and I like the drum kind of score. I thought that was actually really well done score. I liked hearing a lot of the 98 music. I was around at the time and listening to music, and that was music that was around in 98. It was like one of them. A lot of 90s scores go for the hits because they want them, and even though the time period doesn't really match up with the songs playing, and if you're around at the time, it like kind of bugs you. I didn't feel that way. They were very good at being authentic in this. Austin Butler is very much a movie star in this role. He's really good at it. I think, to be honest, I think he does one of the better performances of someone doing like kind of a gritty New York movie. I don't know if the movie itself leads up to that, but I thought, he's up there with all the usual people, you think of that I brought up before. Much like, Griffin Dunn is his boss, which is a nice after hours kind of nod there. I also, Zoe Kravitz was really good. Vincent D'Onofrio and Liv Schreiber as 2 Hasidic gangsters, Bad Bunny. Regina King, who, to be honest, I sort of thought that role should have been Rosie Perez, but whatever. She was still very good. It's just my own personal thing there. And Carole King was in it for like a second. I enjoyed the cast. I liked how it moved together, but like this looked like a movie that Darren Aronofsky, who made Requiem for a Dream, would probably say it was kind of phony in an interview or something. I don't know if he did that too much, but it felt like it just didn't feel like he had the energy and the chutzpah and like the drive and the weirdness to him anymore. And I don't know if I like that that's where he is now. I think that kind of bugged me. I think I was like, I don't know. When I was watching, I was like, this is where we came to? Like, I feel like, I saw him before at the Alamo Drafthouse talking about New York gritty movies. It felt like he knew all the hits, and he just didn't do that. And he goes, and a couple times he said, well, you can't shoot like that anymore. And I was like, no, I can tell because I just saw your movie, dude. I just wish he'd really like had a lot more fun. He does these like longer tracking shows. And some of the stuff is cool, like where he's filming Matt Smith and Austin Butler from above on this like graded walkway. That was interesting and stuff, but like most of the New York movies are done like kind of mediums, close up, wides, kind of straight on, and like it felt like he didn't really understand the visual grammar he was messing in. I did quite like it actually. I like how they used the location. I like how they used New York. I liked how they shot all over Brooklyn and New York and stuff like that. They did a very good job at that and really capturing a time period. And Aronofsky 100% knew what he was fucking doing here, but like I don't. It just didn't feel as authentic. It's not. And to me, it's like a B tier of the main ones that I really love of the New York movies. movies that I watch pretty regularly. I live in New York, so of course I like that sort of thing, but there's a certain drive to it. And even like most of the big New York movies I saw outside of New York from people just telling me they're good movies, but they have a certain energy to them. I think this does have an energy to it, but I think overall, like, you know, maybe my comparison to Aronofsky sort of ruined it, but I just wish there had been more sort of just grit there. You know, I missed the film grain. I kept thinking about it. And I think I kept thinking about it because when I see Robert Shaw taking Pelham 1, 2, 3, even if it's cleaned up and stuff, it's still a very tight, well-constructed kind of thing. And yeah, in that way, I think this film follows those things because they're all like the Warriors taking Pelham, Alphabet City, After Hours. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch, like, are just very well tight constructed kind of films. And I think the city, New York, is sort of like that. It's a very tightly constructed, well-mannered sort of thing that has chaos within it. And I think this had all those elements. I just think visually didn't. And it really did bother me. I'm sorry that, like, I do think this is fun. And I think you like that sort of thing, you'll have a good time. I just don't think it excels in it. And I didn't expect it to. And I think there is too much criticism where we're like, well, this isn't one of the best of those. But I think the thing is like, it could have been one of the best had it not missed that element. It honestly felt like when I see these films where it's like, you know, Terminator Dark Fate or the Halloween thing from David Gordon Green. It's like, oh, you almost got there and you did a solid version of it, so it's respectable. But you could never match that energy that was there before. And I sort of feel like that with this, you know. I like it. Overall, I would probably see it again. I like fun New York movies like this. I will probably end up watching it again. But it did feel like to me, as someone who's observed Darren Aronofsky's career, I did skip The Whale because that looked sort of like a mess. And I don't want to watch it home and eat food in front of it. And I hear his weird views on fat people. I'm just like, I don't have time for that. But like watching his whole arc, minus that one movie and his weird movie at the Sphere or whatever, I'm a little like disappointed. I'm like okay with it, but like I think when you have an older director take on something like that, you want them sort of to excel. And I did think he was having fun and felt like he was artistically flexing in something that Soderbergh would do to just sort of like, you know, clear his throat for a movie. It felt a little like that, and maybe artistically I am a little curious what he's going to do next after this, I will say. But I don't think this was I think this misses its mark in terms of its soul, but I think it got its body to the finish line. And, you know, on a certain good enough night, sometimes, you know, your body is frankly enough. So if you've seen Caught Stealing and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.